Hey, so welcome back. My name is James Johnson. My expertise lies in retirement and estate planning. And tonight we're going to talk about the 3 reasons to claim Social Security at age 70. Now, everybody says, well, I want to take it now. They've got all these ideas about how to take Social Security. And I would tell you that the answer to how to take Social Security is based on one thing. You merely have to tell me the day you're going to die, and I will tell you the perfect way to take your Social Security. But I'm just going to, for the moment, for this class here, I'm going to talk to you about the 3 reasons why you should consider taking your Social Security at age 70. So, for starters, the first reason is you have an increased benefit amount. So every year you wait, Social Security increases by 8% every year you wait. Now, that is the only thing that's out there today that's guaranteed to give you an 8% growth every single year you wait. And so there's a lot of argument for waiting for that to happen. Now, the other thing is longevity. We're living much longer. And most of us are going to live a lot longer in retirement than we did in planning for retirement. And as you know, in order to retire, you must have one thing, and that's a paycheck. And Social Security is going to be one of your guaranteed paychecks. And with a little bit of luck, maybe you have a pension or some annuities, rental property, something along those lines. But for the most part, your guaranteed paycheck for most people is just going to be your Social Security, and everything else is going to have to be based on your other assets. So the third reason why we want to wait until 70, in many cases, not at all, is because of the maximizing the survivor benefits. So if you're married, you need to know that upon death, the surviving spouse gets to keep the highest of the 2 Social Securities. So very frequently, when we're doing analysis on Social Security about who should take Social Security when and where, the person who is the highest earner is typically going to be the one who's going to wait to take their Social Security at 70, and the other one could take it as early as 62, depending upon whether they have any penalties for working, things like that. Now, that increased benefit amount is significant if you wait till 70 because it's increasing by 8% every year you delay beyond your full retirement age. By waiting till 70, your monthly benefit can be significantly higher compared to claiming earlier, and this can provide you with a higher income during your retirement years. So let's say your full retirement age, your FRA, your full retirement age, which by the way creates what's called your PIA, your primary insurance amount, which is the most important thing on your Social Security statement, which determines everything as to what your benefits will be, survivor benefits, etc., spousal benefits, all of these things. So if you're 66, you can see here at age 62, your Social Security is going to be only $1,125. At 66, it'll be $1,500, and at age 70, it'll be $1,980. Now, don't think that these are your numbers because your numbers are going to be different, but this is just one example of what it would look like if you were taking it at 62, 66 full retirement age, or 67 or 70 rather, if you were 66 today. So, $1,125, $1,500, and $1,980. And as you can see, it's a 76% increase over that period of time. So for those born after 1960, their full retirement age is increased to the age of 67. And this is phased in for each birth year between 1954 and 1960. And so what happens in this case is that you may have a full retirement age of 66 in 1 month, 2 months, 10 months, whatever the case may be, all the way up to 67, where if you were born in 1960 forward, your full retirement age is 67. Now, if you're at 67, then you would see here that check at 62 would be $1,050, $1,500 at 67, and $1,860 at full retirement, which would be 70 years old. 124%. So longevity and security. waiting until 70 to claim Social Security benefit can be a strategy for securing a more financial stable retirement, particularly if you have a longer life expectancy or expect to live well into your 80s or beyond. Now, if you've ever sat with me, you know that my rule is that you should live like you're going to die tomorrow and plan like you're going to live forever, because you just might. And no one can tell you exactly which one that's going to be. Now, when I do a retirement plan, I always plan out to age 100. And frequently people tell me, well, I'm never going to live that long. So my question for you is, what if you do? Now, by delaying claiming, you can enhance your monthly benefit, which can provide greater financial security and support throughout your retirement years. It can help protect against the risk of outliving your savings and ensuring a more comfortable lifestyle in later stages of retirement. So the question that always comes up is, well, if I take it early, I get more money because I'm taking it longer. Well, that's not necessarily true. And the real question is, when is the break even? So whenever you sit down with me for a no cost, no obligation appointment to do an analysis of your retirement, we're almost always going to do a Social Security analysis, and we'll put it in our Social Security software and tell you what your break even point is depending upon what age you take it at. Now, the question always comes up, well, what if I wait till this age or that age? And one of the greatest things about this software is it shows us, based on what strategy we're using, at what age we would actually be running out of money, or what age we would actually break even. So on this chart right here, you can see that if John lives out to 85 and Jane lives out to 72, then the first option that's on there, the red option, is the best option. But if Jane lives anywhere past 72, or actually I guess it would be 73, lives anywhere past 73 and John lives to 85, then the blue option would be the best option. And if John makes it all the way out to 87, then it wouldn't matter what age Jane lived to be, the blue option would be the better option. Now, frequently when we're looking at these options, the difference between the red and the blue, or one example or the other, are very, very small numbers, and often it makes sense to possibly for the person with the least amount of Social Security to take their Social Security early, and then the person who makes the most amount of Social Security to wait all the way out to age 70. So maximizing your survivor benefits. If you are a higher earning spouse in a married couple, waiting till age 70 to claim your Social Security can benefit your surviving spouse, because once again, your surviving spouse gets the highest of the two Social Securities. So when one spouse passes away, the surviving spouse is eligible to receive the higher of their own benefit or the deceased spousal benefit, whichever is higher. By maximizing your benefit amount through delayed claiming, you ensure a larger survivor benefit for your spouse, providing a greater financial security for them after you're gone. So when you're planning for survival, it's critical. Survivor generally receives a higher of his or her benefit or the benefit of the deceased. 80% of women survive their husbands an average of 14 years. 98% of widow or widowers benefit recipients are women. So what if we need cash flow sooner? And this is probably where people make their largest mistake when it comes to taking their Social Security, is they think, well, I've got to have the money now. I can't live without it. But frequently, you can do some planning with your other assets and figure out how to get those assets to create the income you need now so you can let your Social Security grow up. So in this particular case here, you can see there's a suggested strategy, the earliest strategy, and the alternative strategy. So the red, the green, and the blue. And once again, depending upon how long we're going to live, determines which one makes more sense than the other. So if we look at the recommended strategy, the amount of money we would receive out to our life expectancy in this case would be $1,157,040. The same life expectancy on the split strategy is $1,113,840, and the same strategy with taking it early is $964,104. So why not just ask the Social Security Administration for advice? Well, SSA looks to get the highest monthly benefit on the day you file. SSA cannot give you advice. It's actually against the law for them to give you advice, which is rightfully so because they don't have enough information to give you sound advice. Because SSA cannot coordinate the benefits with your other outside assets. And this is why it's so important to sit down and have that no cost, no obligation appointment where we actually sit down and do an analysis of your Social Security, and in addition to that, do an analysis for your financial planning and estate planning going forward to check and see what taxes are going to look like, when would you run out of money, what would be the most tax favored way for you to take your money going forward. The values of professional and financial advice are a Social Security analysis, literally going in and doing an analysis of different times and based on what you're going to, how long you're going to work, how much you're making, and what your numbers will actually be, and how does that compare to your current income analysis for retirement. We'll do a retirement income analysis, finding out where you are and whether your plan is going to get you to where you want to go. So remember, you've got to have a paycheck in order to retire. And most people's paycheck will be their Social Security, their pension, if they're lucky enough to have one. And then they'll have their other assets over here that'll have to fill this gap between what their need is and what their known income is. So how do you fill those gaps and have a comprehensive retirement income plan? Well, most people will fill those gaps with their IRAs, 401ks, 403bs, Roth IRAs, etc. And it's important to understand that when it comes to these things, they have their place, and most people have them, but often most people are not doing proactive planning. They're just running along, doing everything on a monthly basis, hoping that everything will work out for them. Now, some of the pros on these is we have a potential for matched funds from our employer. So if you have a 401k or 403b or 457, any other ERISA plan where your company is sponsoring that plan and they have a matching amount and you're not putting in up to that matching amount, then you might want to seriously consider putting in up to the matching amount. Now, whether you're putting it above the matching amount, well, that's open for debate. And we would really want to sit down and do an analysis of what your tax bracket is going to look like going forward and whether it really makes sense to defer those taxes out to the future, and not only defer the taxes, but the calculation to where most people believe that the rates will actually be higher. Now, you maintain some or all control over your account. It's tax deductible when you make the contributions to it. Exception to that would be the Roth IRA. The cons are there's potential due to loss of market risk. They're fully taxable at distribution, except for the Roth IRA, and you take the risk of investment decisions and income distributions. Now, your other assets that you will fill this gap with will be assets like your dividends, interest from stocks, bonds, mutual funds, CDs, or what I call certificates of disappointment. Now, some of the pros of that is you maintain control over your account. There's potential for tax advantage forms of income, such as long-term capital gains. Taxes are paid on earnings only. The cons are you still have to pay taxes, potential loss due to market risk, subject to reinvestment risk, no guarantee of principal protection, growth, or income, and you take the risk of investment decisions and income distribution. Now, I always ask people before I show them this next slide is if everything you thought to be true turned out to not be true, how soon would you want to know? And hopefully the answer to that would be as soon as possible. So the other category of assets that people use to take care of their retirement with, one of those would be annuities. Now, you can have what are called deferred or immediate annuities, and these annuities are known as variable, indexed, fixed, or immediate. Now, if I sit down and I ask a group full of people, what is an annuity? What I get as a description 90% of the time is what is called a SPIA, a single premium immediate annuity, because that is what most people believe an annuity is. They believe that I'm going to take some money, I'm going to give it to an insurance company, and they're going to give me an income stream for a certain amount of time, and my money is gone. That couldn't be farther from the truth. There are several types of annuities out there. They're variable, indexed, and fixed, and each one of those may have a place for you, although I would stay away from variable if I were you. I would use indexed or fixed. Depending upon your age and where you are, it's most likely going to suit your needs much better, but that's the purpose of having those meetings, to figure out whether it works for you or not. Now, some of the pros to that are you get to maintain control over your account. If it's non-qualified money, in other words, it's money that you would have in a CD or brokerage account, something like that, you can actually put it in an annuity and it becomes tax deferred on earnings and no mandatory distributions. So there are no required minimum distributions on a non-qualified annuity. There's potential for guaranteed principal growth and income for life. An annuity can do one thing that nothing else can do. And that is at the point in time when I turn it on for income, it can guarantee me a stream of income I can't outlive no matter how long I live. So even when it runs out of money, it doesn't run out of income. Now, some of the cons are they require a longer term commitment. So you want to make sure that you've answered the two most important questions you could ever ask about your investment, and that is, what's my exit strategy and what's bad about this, before you invest your money in it and you understand what it is that you're investing and what the purpose is for it. In addition to that, there is something called life insurance. Now, most people think they own life insurance, when I, in fact, would argue that they do not own life insurance. What they own is death insurance. So you need to know the difference between a whole life, indexed life, or term life, and what you can do with those products as far as building retirement accounts go. The average person owns term life insurance. And what happens with term life insurance is they buy the most amount of insurance using the least amount of money for the purpose of dying. And in that particular case, that rule is set by the insurance company. But did you know that it's actually possible to grow your money tax-free, access up to 85% at any time tax-free, put it back if you want, get most of the gains of the market, never participate in the losses, and when you die, it passes on at 2 to 3 times that amount tax-free. Now, would you want to do that? Of course you would. And that is building what's called a maximum funded life insurance policy under TEFRA, DEFRA, and TAMRA of the tax codes, where the IRS determines how little insurance we can buy and how much money we can put in it and how fast. There's a lot to learn about that. Be sure to go watch some videos on our YouTube page about that information. So the pros to that is you get to control your account. We can take income tax-free loans and withdrawals up to cost basis, no penalties for early access, and if you don't, no required minimum distributions, and if you don't use it while you're alive, you can leave it to your heirs in a leveraged death benefit. In other words, we pass it on tax-free. Now, some of the cons to this is it takes time to get a plan up and running. You don't just, boom, get a plan like that. And you must know what you're doing and why you're doing it, what your exit strategy is, and what the bads are before you even start down that road. But there are some amazing things we can do with life insurance. And what I can tell you is I've never met a person who's utilized their most valuable asset, which is their insurability. So now what? Well, to get your free Social Security report, all you have to do is set up an appointment and go here to do that. Scan this code here, go out to our website, and go set up a time for no cost, no obligation appointment. Now, when you do that appointment, you will need to have your Social Security statement so that we can run that report for you. In addition to that, other documents to have at that appointment would be your tax returns, any other financial documents, so that we can go in and do a full financial plan for you. Remember, there's no cost or obligation to do that. And remember, to live like you're going to die tomorrow and plan like you're going to live forever, because you just might. All I can tell you is is that when it comes to this stuff, you've got a little bit of information. Don't run out and think just because you watch this video, you've got this figured out. Take the time to get the appointment, sit down, and let's figure out if your retirement's working for you. Thank you for your time. Keep smiling and make it a great day.